All right, 13 minutes, more like 14 minutes. I'm sure I can get this point across in 14 minutes. So, the topic I'm going to talk about in this video is probably one it's certainly necessary. If you're a subscriber to my channel, you already know how I feel about Tug. One of my most popular videos is right. If if you've seen that, right, then you know how I feel about Tug. I think what's that video, and I thought I was gonna regret doing that video, but I'm so happy I did it. I got a lot of good feedback from a lot of like important people in the industry on that video, and it's just so crazy how like some people respond to it. All I did was speak the truth. They try to get that video removed on a copyright infringement basis. The guys over there are just fucking idiots. They have no case. I didn't do anything in terms of copyright infringement. They just want the video removed. They're so pathetic and petty. Like, I'm just speaking the truth. If you got a problem with it, like, just man up and deal with it. Like, get your skills up. Like, they tell me that they work with the dogs every day, but then they think that Tug makes a dog aggressive. It's just so fucking crazy. They're not dog people. They don't understand the dog. They don't understand the first thing about the dog. Anyways, this is what this video is going to be about. Just a clarification on the proper application of Tug in terms of dealing with anxiety. I already did a video. I'm going to redo it just because I can sometimes I have a habit of speaking really slowly, and then it doesn't really serve to like an education type of thing. You sort of have to keep your audience captivated. And one of the things my parents did a really good job at is not and raising me not to give a shit what anybody thinks. But if I'm doing something educational, it's definitely something that's important to keep the audience captivated and speak in a way that sort of has a rhythm to it. So I might want to redo that video, but I feel good now about talking about this subject for sure. This is definitely an important subject, and because it's one of those things where, you know, if you're doing it wrong, you're going to create problems, and you're only going to frustrate your dog more. And so I just wanted to go over what the wrong way to approach Tug and the better way to approach Tug and the right way to approach Tug, to approach it in a way that actually serves the dog at the end of the day. And it's just, yeah, so the real benefit of Tug is the polarity that's experienced when we go through the phases of tension and release, okay? And what someone who doesn't really understand how to play Tug effectively with a dog will be very static in the way that they play Tug, meaning they won't provide dynamic, all right? So say, I don't know, I don't have any toys with me right now, but say, let's see what we could do here. Yeah, I'm going to just use this plastic bag. Say this is a toy, right? Say this is the Tug, right? And I have it, and the dog's over here, right? What it should look like is pull the dog, let the dog pull you. 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 And then release. Let the dog win. This is the most important part of the whole game, okay? It's the ebb and flow that does provide a great way to deal with anxiety in dogs and fulfill the dog's instinctual needs. It is tiring, no question. But what's even more tiring, right? If you can you really have to develop a rhythm with a dog. And like I said before in my other video, I mean, when I've done this with some dogs, and dogs who definitely have problems with anxiety, I mean, some of our sessions last like an hour long. Okay? And I definitely had a strong cup of coffee beforehand because I knew what I was getting into. The way that you really want to look at it is you don't open Pandora's box if you can't close it. Meaning you don't start the game and then leave the dog hanging and then wonder why your dog is chasing squirrels. Okay? If you do the real purpose of short sessions really is to teach new behaviors, right? So if we keep sessions short, right, what are we doing? We're allowing the memory to really soak in what got them the reward, right? That's the purpose of short sessions. If you want to address anxiety, it's so important to have long sessions and really create this ebb and flow between the back and forth of tension and release between you and the dog. And eventually, of course, always let the dog win. It's so important. You put reps in this frame context, right? And your dog is going to sleep like a baby. Okay? This is the proper way to approach tug from a point of view of addressing anxiety. Okay? I've done this with dogs, and the smile on their face is just, I mean, it's undeniable. You know, it's a beautiful thing to see a dog so relaxed. But you aren't going to get that type of look on a dog's face, and you aren't going to get that type of, you know, being out of that dog if you're just going boom, 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 boom. And then there's like all this frustration here. That's fine. Like, you should do that. Throw that into your tug game as well, right? But don't just do that. Let them pull you, pull them back. Let them pull you, pull them back. This is so tiring for the dog. I mean, you know, I've done this with dogs, and I mean, I know that the dog is going to sleep really well at night, but I sort of make a hint to the client that, you know, how did the dog sleep? And I've gotten pictures of the dog completely passed out, you know, and sleep is so important for dogs who have anxiety. To reach that state of REM is just so important. So just remember, people, always let the dog win, okay? Now, for the people, I know that, the person who says that you shouldn't let the dog win has no fucking idea what they're talking about, okay? Excuse the language, but it's just straight from the horse's mouth, okay? The person who never lets the dog win has no idea what they're doing, okay? And they're probably going to come at it from this really stupid POV about, they're usually the reasons why they say that you shouldn't allow the dog win goes into really stupid talk. They're going to bring up dominance, they're going to bring up possession issues and stuff like this. One thing has nothing to do with the other. They're totally different things. Like, for instance, if we want to teach an out, right, there's separate exercises. It has nothing to do with another. At all. At all. And for someone to think that they're somehow connected, I mean, it just shows how much they really do know. Because there's separate exercises. Teaching a dog to have a nice out, everyone wants a dog to have a nice out. I mean, a dog with a solid out shows how much work and respect is in that relationship. Okay? And respect, you know, it's slightly projecting when I say that, because you do want your dog to be a little brash in how they possess items, especially with you. Bart Bellin says it as well. I mean, this is just dog talk at the end of the day. Like, people who really understand dogs don't have a problem with their dog being possessive because they also know that there's no reactivity that's going to come from it. This is a very advanced way of thinking, okay? And you know, to think like this is like, you really know what you're doing when you're thinking like this. Getting it is a totally different thing. I mean, that's where you have to put the work in. So don't confuse the two. I think the reason why people suggest not to let the dog win, it's just stupid. They bring up notions of dominance, and it just has nothing. One thing has nothing to do with the other. It really is short-sighted. And yeah, so when we play tug, you should be in the habit of letting your dog win. Okay, if you want to work on the dog's out, okay, that's a totally separate thing. Okay? All right, guys. Peace.